the reason for the logo is like, I would say it's even 10 or 7% of what a brand identity. I think nobody's interested anymore in that final polished product. Do not wait for that polished perfection to happen, because people want to watch you. People want to invest in you. They want to understand your hardships, your challenges. They want to build alongside you, understand that nobody knows what they're doing.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Logbook podcast. I'm your host, Zachary and Arielle. You can find me on social at It's Zach B. In each episode, I bring on experts from various industries for you to learn about their strategies and insights driving extreme business growth. Today, we're joined by Arielle Tayar, founder of Whip Creative Studio, a creative and experiential agency helping brands build rich, story-driven identities and unforgettable real-world experiences. She's a Miami-based serial entrepreneur who's built multiple companies over the last decade, spanning a creative agency, an experiential agency, a luxury wedding planning company, and even a viral café she ran for 5 years. With a background in theater and film from the New School and a master's in film from Tel Aviv, storytelling has basically been at the core of everything that she's done. She's worked on campaigns for brands like Gucci, Spanx, and Elf Beauty, and even serves as the agency of record for Hulkin, the viral rolling tote now sold in Target. And she's even planned weddings that have had guests like LeBron James and Adele, believe it or not. So she's built all of this while raising 2 kids on funding everything herself. Great to have you on board. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for having me. What a great intro. That was...
we try, but hey, keep in mind, those are all your accomplishments. I'm not creating anything that's not true here. But no, thank you so much for joining us on this show. And one of the things I always love to do with anyone that comes on, as it is a business entrepreneurship podcast. You've obviously been around the block. You've built quite you're a serial entrepreneur, to put it very simply. But I'd really love to understand, if you had to rebuild your companies just from scratch, knowing everything that you know, what's kind of the one thing that you would do differently that you feel like a lot of entrepreneurs get totally wrong, or they just go wrongly about it?
Wow. It's such a great question, because I firmly believe that everything that happened and the trajectory of everything I've built happened for a reason and was a lesson that kind of led to the next step, right? I really truly feel like the only thing I would tell myself to do differently is to chill and not have such imposter syndrome, and understand that nobody knows what they're doing, and and to just go a little easier on myself. But in terms of the actual steps I took, I would even go to say that sometimes today, with all the knowledge and experience I do have, I think it's almost more of a deterrent to take some of those risks. I think today, if somebody told me, hey, start a cafe, I probably would be like, oh, hell no. But back then I was naive, and that naivete was actually a gift.
Yeah.
So I really don't think, I think other than just telling my soul and spirit to chill, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Yeah, and I feel again, based on what you mentioned, it comes from experience doing things and learning from them. Again, everything happens for a reason. I'm a big person of that motto. I always say, just everyone. But if you haven't gone through these experiences, you wouldn't have learned these other things. And a good example that I like that you mentioned, now knowing everything that you do, maybe you wouldn't do a cafe. It's when you're a kid, you might have a big water slide. You're oh yeah, I'll definitely go through it. And then you become an adult, you're yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to hurt myself or something like that. And I feel that applies to business and entrepreneurship too. It's learning everything new.
It's such a great analogy, Zachary. And I feel yes, it's a great analogy, because I think, as you get older, you start to understand more of risk and implications of certain things. And yeah, there's a beauty to going into something with no money, no investment, just diving through, putting your sweat into it. Yeah, sometimes I miss the days.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still in them, a little more, a little more.
No, I get what you're saying. And I love to shift it a little bit. So when you look at brands that, because obviously you're on the branding side of things, storytelling, everything like that. When you look at brands that really connect with their audience versus the ones that just look the part, what's kind of the difference? What are most businesses missing when it comes to building something that people genuinely feel something about? Because that's very important. I mean, especially the experiential side of things, experiencing things, that's a big one. But a lot of brands don't do it correctly.
For sure. I think, it's changing so quickly as well with social media and trends and stuff like that. But the biggest thing that comes to mind as like an overall arcing theme, I think would be consistency.
Okay.
Consistency in brand voice and tone. People want to kind of arrive and know, once they get to know a brand or a founder or sort of tone of voice, like, that it's consistent, that, like, that humor level is gonna continuously be there, that kind of snark or whatever, you've established in your brand tone stays
Mm,
consistent. And then on top of that, I think today more than anything, people wanna watch founders building. I think nobody's interested anymore in that final polished, product, which is funny that I'm saying it because it's something that I, as a founder, am struggling to kind of like, I can tell that to my clients and I can kind of say that, but still I'm struggling to kind of tell the story. But today when any new brand is coming to me and we're kind of building out their brand identity and the strategy, I say start sharing today. Do not wait for that polished perfection to happen because people want to watch you, people want to invest in you. They want to understand your hardships, your challenges. They want to build alongside you. So let them in on it. Um,
yeah.
so I would say I think that's the most compelling thing that's happening in sort of brand, brand storytelling right now.
Yeah. And I think like it's that one movement that gone like viral. It's like building in public where people in
Yeah.
like social, etc. They build their company, they document like the entire thing. I feel like that's typically from like an entrepreneurship like person setting, business owner, like they're documenting like the day to day, like their personal journey. But I feel that can be also applied to brands. And I'd be kind of curious to see like if you guys like what kind of the approach is like when you guys approach that for like brands that you guys work with.
Yeah. That's a great question because one of the first things we ask founders when they approach us with like, "Hey, I'm starting XYZ," is how comfortable are you on camera? Like, do you want to put your
Hmm.
face front and center? Because if that's the case, then we're going to weave that into the strategy. If not, there are other ways to do that. There are ways to not necessarily talk to camera and sort of like, you can do innovative carousels. But I think the brands that are standing out are the brands who are putting their founders front and center, and their founders are telling their brand story throughout some of the content alongside the more polished stuff that's more sort of
Hmm.
produced, if you will.
Yeah.
I think brands and founders and the people behind them are becoming synonymous. Like, I don't think that that's really a divide anymore.
Hmm.
Um, I if you want it. That's an approach, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
there's no right way, and I think that's what I always tell everybody, also in business and in branding and in everything. There's no right way to do it. I think when your story is true and heart-centered and
Hmm.
resonates with people, that's when, the magic happens, but there
Yeah.
is not a formula. If we knew the formula, we'd all be in a different place, right?
Yeah, but like I feel with like brands and like nowadays, when you look at AI, everything that's going on, people are going to resonate much more with like authenticity, like being able to see like the founders, see what they're doing, building, see that the value is the company versus seeing like a few like posts or like an AI like video. It's like it's not personal. And I feel like a lot of people are craving that nowadays more than ever
I
now.
firmly believe that. Absolutely. That's really right. And I think there's so many ways to weave AI into a personal story where people don't feel that kind of disconnect and that sort of robotic.
Hmm.
There are ways and there are methods, and we use those methods all the time.
Yeah.
But I think when someone's just trying to shove AI in the mix for the sake of shoving AI because that's what everyone else is doing, I think
Yeah.
very quickly we're going to see that people are going to tire of that. And then people are going to lean towards the other direction of just like a real, authentic human connection. And
Yeah.
furthermore, I'll say that I think brands that are utilizing their community and, we're finding that with Hulkin quite a bit that, it's such a community driven product.
Hmm.
Roll and tote, it's for the New York City or urban sort of
Yeah.
schlepper, if you will, the person who's carrying. So we want to, that person who's carrying, we want to highlight those people. We want to give them a voice. And that comes with tapping into community. And yes, sometimes shooting that content is gonna be more expensive than giving,
Yeah.
AI a prompt and hoping for an output, but that content's gonna resonate far more. It's going to
Mm.
tap, it's gonna be a collaborative post. People are gonna wanna share it. So, I do still think it's worth it to think about your community and kind of activate them.
Yeah. I
as
mean,
a
it's a
strategy.
differentiator as well. Like if everyone is just posting the exact same content every single day, people are going to get tired. But if you have the
Yes.
personality to it, you have the founder, it's more like interesting. People are going to be like, oh, like I want to go like watch this. Like that's actually interesting to like watch here. And
Yeah.
one of the things I always find like interesting is that in like the marketing world, there's always the talk about like brand identity. Like we obviously talked about this earlier, but I feel like a lot of people reduce it down to like picking a logo, some colors, and then they basically call it a day. What I'd love to understand is just from like where you sit, what is a real brand identity actually like involve, and why does that distinction actually matter a lot compared to like what a lot of other people think?
Yeah. Huge. I mean, I think I always say if somebody comes to the studio and is like, "Can you just design me a logo? I just need a logo. I don't need all the rest." I say like, I don't even just I don't do that. The
Yeah,
reason for the logo is like I used to say 15%, and how I would say it's even 10 or 7% of what a brand
yeah,
identity is. A brand identity is a culmination of a palette. A palette tells a story, so color, right? Color
mhm,
automatically tells you a story. You put a couple of colors together and you can be transported to Europe, you could be transported to the 70s, right? So
yeah,
palette. Typography also, you can have something more whimsical and fun and handwritten and serify, and how formal are you? How approachable are you?
yeah,
Type also gives off so much. So type, palette, and then, elements, illustrations, if that is part of it. And then I would say a photographic and a video language. So
yeah,
whenever we approach a brand identity, we're designing a logo, of course, but it comes alongside some of those other elements. And I always say, the elements are one thing. I call them ingredients. But when you're cooking, there's also how much are you using of a certain thing, right? Are you using
mhm,
red a lot and like
yeah,
yellow a little, or are you flipping it? And then those are going to mean many different things as well. So
mhm,
the building of a brand and that cohesion I was speaking about earlier has so much to do with not only, the ingredients you pick at the supermarket, right? But
yeah,
also how you intend to use them and what's going to be louder than something else. And then
mhm,
on top of that, of course, we go into brand values. What are the values that are guiding your brand, both visually, because we always like to take those values and turn them into a visual sort of communicative device,
yeah,
but also what are you trying to say? What are you aligning with? People today, I think, are purchasing, emotionally purchasing a t-shirt, not because they love that t-shirt necessarily, but because that brand represents something that they want to convey about themselves to the world.
mhm.
So it's important to align yourself with some kind of value system. Um, and all of those things come into an essence of a brand, just like a personality. Like, can you reduce your personality to the tip of the iceberg? Not really, right? It's
No.
all the things that come together. So
I
that's
like
a
the way you framed it, like the personality aspect of things, because everyone has a personality and that's like who you are as a person. But no one really thinks about like, okay, what's the personality of the brand? And yes, you can't reduce that to 5% because the personality is like most of like who you are as a person. And that applies to a
exact
brand too.
the iceberg,
I love
right?
that.
Like everything underneath is
Yeah.
guiding what you see at the tippy top. And you need those things in order to resonate and stand out, or else it
Yeah.
falls flat and people smell right through it, right? So
Doesn't work very well. But yeah, the
yeah.
emotion is like a big thing. And I mean, I think this also touches on to like even like personal brands, for example. Like you might have a singer, you're gonna go buy their shirt because you like them. And it's like applicable to like a brand as well. If you like a brand, you like their value, what they're about, then you're gonna be much more likely to want to work with them, promote them, buy their stuff. And that applies in like so many different like ways and components here.
And it's interesting too, because I think, I work so much with these brand partnership decks where everyone's basically this deck, right? Where you're trying to like show how great you are and kind of bring all of those things that we just talked about into metrics. And of course, those metrics exist and they're important. But I think they're also just people. I would say I'm one of them. And anybody who works in my field is typically one of them that are just attuned to this sort of like vibe. Like that brand is the
Yeah.
vibe and that matches. Like there's an essence here that's aligned that
Hmm.
maybe I can put it into words, maybe into some numbers, but sometimes it's just like that magic
Yeah.
kind of
It's like the
thing.
gut feeling sometimes that you have. You're like, yeah, this sounds right. And then that applies like
Exactly.
brand too.
And yeah, and it can't necessarily be explained. Just
No,
yeah,
it's not quantifiable, but when you feel it, you feel it, to put it very simply
totally.
here.
Totally.
I love that. And because obviously you run multiple companies and you work in like the experience design side of things for like corporate brands and even for like weddings, which I thought was like interesting. But one of the things I'd love to understand is what kind of separates like an event or like an experience that people forget like the next week from one
Mm.
that that actually like stays with them. Like I know we talked about like ingredients, but what kind of are
Yeah.
the ingredients that like makes that difference?
Wow. So there are certainly ingredients that would come into making a very memorable wedding or brand activation. I would say they're the same. I think
Hmm.
first and foremost, it's knowing who your audience is and knowing who your guests are, and it's basically the same thing. And being very thoughtful about every moment and really thinking about from the moment they receive an invitation to the
Hmm.
moment they have to step on maybe some kind of transportation in order to arrive there to that entrance and what are they tasting and smelling. And I think the more thought and detail you put into every one of those details by really knowing who you're catering to, those are the
Hmm.
events like, wow, they thought of
Yeah.
everything, right? Like, oh my goodness, when people feel taken care of and people feel seen, that
Hmm.
resonates, I remember.
Yeah.
So, whenever I approach any event, I first and foremost am asking about who the people are in the room. How
Hmm.
old are they? Are they family? Are they friends? Do they know each other from before? Do we have to create some kind of atmosphere in which people kind of break the ice and get to know each other? Because obviously, that's also a huge part of
Yeah.
energies and types, right? So, really, really knowing. And so, while you have ingredients that then come into play to like service the thought, if you will, or
Yeah.
um, I think thoughtfulness is number 1.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I don't want to say it's a market or research process, but in a way, you have to really do like a deep dive to like understand like how to properly create the events. Like it resonates. I mean, for like a wedding specifically, you want to get to know specifically who those people are, what they like, what their vibe is. And I don't remember if it was you that said that, but you want to create like an experience where people feel like they're in your kitchen, like you're all like together.
Yeah, exactly, ownable to you, right? I think for weddings especially, um, a lot of people go around with this notion that their wedding is for themselves, like, "I'm doing this for me."
Yeah.
It's like, no, if you were doing it for you, you would go elope in Las Vegas and not invite anybody. You're doing it because it's important for you to mark this momentous occasion with the
Mhm.
people you love or people that are in your community.
Yeah.
So, you do have to think about them. And you do
Mhm.
have to think what's gonna be great for them. So, for example, if you know you're hosting I'm just making this up, obviously, if you
Nah.
have elderly grandparents and people that you really wanna respect and honor, but you've asked for, like, intense, like, heavy metal music, that's not necessarily honoring or respecting them, right? And you can get to
Yeah.
the heavy metal music, you can later in the night. There's always a time and place for you to, like, find a way to express yourself and who you are and tell your story, but first, like, think about how this community is also telling your story and how we can honor and respect them. And I think when
Mhm.
people, again, feel taken care of and feel like, wow, I always like to say in a wedding, it's so nice to leave in. I always ask, what are the heritages of your families? If there's a family from a different, like, how can we play a song that's going to make those people like just melt? And it
Yeah.
doesn't make a corny song, but we remix it. And they're like, oh my God, that's that song. That's that like cultural song that like is
Yeah.
nostalgic and amazing. That's how you hook people. That's how you get them like, wow,
Mhm.
they tweaked every moment of this to be something that's super, thoughtful and special.
Yeah. And I feel like it just boils down to understanding like the journey like that they're going to be going through. Like I know there's obviously a customer journey, but it's like applicable to like maybe attendees. Like they're going to go to like a wedding, they're going to follow a certain journey as you mentioned like by they might get in a car, they get to a certain location and everything. I spoke to like one client where they do like mammograms for like women. They have like a little bus, they go like around the place.
Oh,
And one of the
wow.
things that he told me was like, yeah, like it's still like important. Like one of the first thing we want to make sure that the bus driver that greets them, like first thing, then make sure it's amazing greeting. Like they're really excited to be here.
Yes.
And I feel that applies into like wedding as well. And like even brand as a whole. Like it applies everywhere, to put it very
Absolutely.
simply.
Absolutely. What are they hearing? What are they smelling? What are they tasting? What's that first hello? So that's exactly the kind of thing that when we're producing any kind of event, again, from wedding to brand activation to a corporate
Mhm.
party, and which we do sometimes, we're thinking about every touch point in that run of show, who's standing there, bringing the right people. I always say that too, like the right people. You want to work with the right vendors. We're only as good as the team that we build. It's a collaborative effort. So over the years,
Mhm.
we've met amazing, amazing people that are so talented and special,
Yeah.
but also are team players. And that's super important for me, for anybody that I'm working with. Like,
Mhm.
if you see this vendor struggling with lifting a chair and you're the photographer, like the expectation is like we're all in this together. We're all here
Yeah.
to like help us. It's not, we don't live in a vacuum. We're here to like support each other and make an event really, really special.
I love
So
that. Yeah.
important.
And just like going back before like we wrap up, I'd love to go back to the branding side of things again, because there's obviously a lot of brands out there that are not exactly sure how they should be approaching building a good brand, the foundation. And I'd love to perhaps get out a few bullet points or like some insider secrets or like tips that you would have for like any brands if they're looking to align
Hmm.
their brands like a little bit more, have a better structure and know like how to present themselves effectively in a way that actually resonates with the potential customers.
Well, first of all, hire a specialist because I mean, I know that not everybody can do that if you're starting out and
Yeah.
you're kind of bootstrapping. And I think, a lot of people also have the philosophy of you don't need that, which I can firmly believe if you're one of those people that can kind of jump into Canva and grow something together.
Yeah.
But I think it's if you can hire a specialist because we know what we're doing and we can really help bring things out of you and your story that you would have never even imagined. Like you might think you're starting
Mhm.
like a food, whatever, a food delivery
Yeah.
service, but we can bring that to a place that's so special and unique and niche and something that people really want to hook on to that you wouldn't have imagined, right? So that's one. But if you can't hire a specialist, then make sure that you have a very, very strong and distinct tone of voice and point of view. I
Mhm.
think if you go to if you are going to go the raw, real, authentic route, which by the way, I'm obsessed with, like I watch people do this and I'm
Yeah.
like, go, like it's amazing. Don't be like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you kind of have to pick which route you're going to go. Either you're going to come in polished and do it properly and have somebody like pull it out of you, or you're going to
Mhm.
go for it and tell your story and again back to the build in front of the people and build your thing that way.
Yeah.
People I think like, oh, I'll start an Instagram account, it's just going to magically happen. Like no, it takes so much time and so much effort and so much strategy to build community today.
Yeah.
um, the algorithms don't want you to succeed organically. They want you to pay them.
Yeah.
So if you're going to come at it without a brand book and without sort of having your ducks in a row, come at it provocatively, come at it authentically and differently. And then that's the
Mhm.
only way to break through.
I love that. Like just being different, but by being yourself. That's how you're saying it. Because I feel like sometimes you'll look at some things online and then that's going to influence your perspective. You're like, oh, that's actually part of my like persona. Like that's who I am. But
Mhm.
under that, that's not actually. You just saw other people doing it and you're like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, let's do that.
Yeah. And listen, it's a push and pull, right? There's a formula. You see things go viral on TikTok and then you see other people replicate these things and it works for them. But I think
Hmm.
as a brand, if you're like trying to sell something and really get somebody to take action on your message, you got to come at it with something really unique, especially today. It is
Oh,
so
yeah.
saturated out there.
Hmm.
But don't let that deter you, right? Like you never know. You never know it's gonna catch. You really don't.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking that time to join us on the podcast here, and for like anyone that wants to get in touch with you, because I know you're in a lot of different places. You've ran multiple companies. You got your LinkedIn, Instagram. Where should people go if they want to like get in touch with you, reach out, or even like work with you?
Yeah, I think whipcreativestudio.com is a good baseline. The creative agency
Sure.
is definitely the starting point for all of the other wonderful businesses. Whipproductions.com if you are interested in kind of wedding services or even just, having a chat. I am always down to talk. I love, you know, meeting new people. So yeah.
I love that. So we're gonna put that in the show notes. So if anyone wants like reach out or anything, they can obviously
Perfect.
do so here. But Great. If you heard that, everyone, so you can head over to whipcreativestudio.com if you want to learn more. To your listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, like, review, all that fun stuff. And until then, keep pushing, and we'll see you in the next one.